Welcome back, and thank you for joining us on The Slide. This podcast aims to normalize important discussions that are required for our community surrounding topics such as education, politics, justice, and economics. However, before we can attempt to cross controversial seas, we must create a vehicle by which we can facilitate success. It is an honor and a privilege today to have with us as a co-host on our show, Mother Gwendolyn Hyman, one of the founders of Hills Network Incorporated. Hills Network is a nonprofit located in the city of Jacksonville, Florida, that is doing amazing things for the citizens of our community. Welcome, Mother Gwen. Affectionately, we call you Grandma. It's an honor to have you here with me today so we can talk about some of the things that Hills is doing for the community. But before we begin, let's introduce you to the community so that they can understand who it is that's going to make all of this stuff happen. Who are you and where are you from?
Oh, good morning. Thanks for having me again. I'm from Georgia originally, but I moved here in Jacksonville, 1972. So I've been here 55 years. It's been a long relationship I've had with Florida, with Jacksonville. So I've seen a lot happen, a lot of changes, a lot of growth, and a lot of failures, disappointments, and I'm just glad to be living here in Florida, in Jacksonville.
You say 55 years. What was 1970? Because I know that Jacksonville, I've been in Jacksonville now, as you know, I've been in Jacksonville now for about 4 years, right? And for me, I love Jacksonville because it reminds me of Miami in the 80s. Like, you know, it's black and white. You know, I know we got a Hispanic and Haitian population, but it's basically a black and white city. The people are crazy and beautiful all at the same time. What was 1972 Jacksonville like when you got here?
It was predominantly, like you said, black and white, but it was kind of like a small country town. To me, it wasn't too much different from where I was originally from. It was laid back. It was quiet. And people was friendly, and you could wasn't too much of violence like it is today. You know, you kind of felt comfortable in your home and walking your streets and walking your community. So a lot has changed since 1972. A lot of growth, a lot of changes, and it's some for the good and some for the bad. But it's Jacksonville. What can you say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you say it had the small town feel, you know, we hear like, and I ain't grow up in one of them cities where, you know, where your neighbor could correct your kids.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that when I was a child growing up in
Yeah.
Miami. You know, you hear tales about times where people say, and this one could say this, and this one could beat that person. What was the community like? Was it a community of families?
Yeah,
Or what
yes.
was it like?
And yes, the community my street was full of kids, and my house was one of the main houses where all the kids came. So it was so full of, you could go out and see kids playing, and they wasn't fighting, or they was having a good time, just enjoying themselves, you know. They didn't have any conflicts or anything like that, but it was just like a fun time for the kids back then. I didn't even worry about my kids going to the park or going to visit one of their friends. I mean, I know my kids. They didn't tell me till later. All over Jacksonville.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
know Uncle Sam tell me he'll be on the bike all the way on the west side.
Right. And I wasn't afraid, you know. But I probably would have been afraid if they'd have told me that's what they were doing. But you know,
Yeah, but you
uh-huh.
know, sometimes as children we preserve our parents from certain things
Yeah,
because y'all raised us a certain kind of way, and
yeah.
so our independence let us go out and do stuff because when we out, all we
Hmm.
trying to do is act like we are for real,
Right.
you know. So coming from a community feel and a vibe and an environment like that,
Hmm.
around what years did you notice a change in the city of Jacksonville?
Uh, I might want to say maybe the 80s and 90s. Like it started picking up and getting a little faster
Hmm.
than the normal what it was. I'm gonna say maybe the 80s and 90s,
Hmm.
late 80s, 90s. That's when the drugs started being more prevalent uh, in the neighborhoods and stuff, and hear more about uh, uh, kids, not violence, say gun violence per se, but more like kids. uh, why can I was more afraid for my kids then. I was more like where you going, what you doing, be back at a certain time, more so during the 80s than the 90s. Yeah.
hmm hmm See, because at that time now, for me, I grew up around that same era, right? I grew up around that same era, and so I'm familiar with, the condition starting probably around 85. Now, I wouldn't know until much later that in 85 that it was campaigns nationally, where nationally they was flooding, particularly the black
Mm.
community with drugs. That is also kind of around the same time that the crack cocaine epidemic began in America with individuals out on the West Coast Freeway with Ricky Ross. Now I wouldn't know any of those things in the 80s or the 90s growing up in Carroll City, but my first knowledge of Jacksonville, Florida was a joker was driving down 191st Street in Carroll City, and people who know me know, and y'all might even remember this, 191st Street in Carroll City. I ain't gonna say the person's name out of respect for his family and for who he is and the change they done made in his life. But the Joker was driving a gray Chevy SS, and he rolled down the window, and the Joker had a stack of money and a mop full of gold teeth. He said, boy, get on in Duval. And he mashed down the street. And so that was the first time that I was even aware of a Jacksonville, Florida. I ain't know nothing. I was lame. I was a little kid in the community. But so my thoughts about Jacksonville was that, them jokers up there getting money.
Money. Yeah.
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 I didn't know anything about Jacksonville, but you was up here in that environment.
Mhm.
What was going on? What steps or what measures were being taken by the leaders of the community during that time period in order to either curb it or to create more opportunity for young people, would you say?
Well, they had started a few like campaigns in the schools, like what was the name of that program? Where the policemen would go in the
Like
schools.
there?
Yeah, there they had that program. They started that program, uh, and then the PAL, the PAL,
Yeah, Police Athletic League and stuff like
yeah,
that.
and they were kind of got more prevalent in the neighborhood because my kids were was playing ball and doing stuff with the PAL and the boys club. Like they kind of stepped up a little bit too, because kids were going to those places. Or it was a place where they could go and hang out and not be, in the parks and places where the people were selling drugs and stuff.
So because now as I'm moving around the community, I've had opportunity to meet some older guys in the community, and so I understand now a little even more so that the '70s was a
Hmm.
time period where in Jacksonville, Florida, where it was some real gangsters in this city, and I
Yeah.
didn't know that. I mean, but now I'm having an opportunity to kind of even sit in some of their presence. Um, so it was some real gangsters that it was in and out of jail, so that means that it was always occurring. Then our generation became young adults as we start to move towards our adolescence and become men,
Mm.
and we followed in their footsteps. Were there any initiatives in order to be able to support the common working class man in order to be able to highlight that they grit and determination to make them better? What was going on for people that was in your age group? What was those opportunities looking like for y'all?
Be frankly, I don't recall. I mean, it probably was some there, but if they really come bring to mind, I can't really think of anything
Hmm
that they would do. I'm quite sure it was some types of initiatives going on in schools but
hmm
I don't really recall any.
Yeah, because just to be frank, Grandma, it probably wasn't. And the reason why I say that is because I'm thinking about who we choose to emulate, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna try to be like what I see that appear as success. Jokers ain't running around hustling and selling dope because we ain't got nothing better to do. We run around hustling and selling dope because that looked like where prosperity and success lie.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't later find out that it lead to
Mm-hmm.
prison until you get
Yeah,
arrested.
yeah, it was glorified.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
yeah.
glorified. Yeah.
Yeah, particularly in the '90s. In the '90s,
Mm-hmm.
people began to outwardly discuss things. Before, when I was a kid, hustlers ain't take pictures, they
Mm-hmm.
ain't talk on the phone, and they ain't move around a certain kind of way. They
Mm-hmm.
they moved a certain kind of way, right? But then somewhere around the '90s, particularly around the mid '90s, all that
Mm-hmm.
went out the window, and
Yeah.
it was game on, and you could do whatever you want to do, however you want to do it. But
Yeah.
that wasn't true. Right, and me, I ain't a conspiracy theorist, but what I'm saying, I want to believe that it was a part of a greater plan in order to be able to exterminate, the brilliance that exists inside our community, and that's just what it is. Take it or let it alone. If you got something to say, like, subscribe, share, mention it in the comments, or send this to one of y'all public officials and tell them to come see about me because I talk to you to your face because I don't believe nothing what you're saying, right? Because it had to be something going on, and it affected, impacted our community because I have an opportunity to sit in the presence of Mr. General Hyman, and so I know that in your family in particular, y'all have one of the strongest and one of the most brilliant men in this community right there in your house. Yet and still, your home was impacted by some of the negativity of this city. Would you mind? And I know it's a sensitive subject, but would you mind sharing anything about what your family experienced?
Okay, yeah. 2012, we experienced it, gun violence. My son was killed um, June the 12th, 2012, as an effect of the gun violence in our community. And so it was just, and it was right at our home. So, that was so hard for me. It's hard for me now even just to even go in my backyard because it wasn't directly in my backyard, but it was behind my house in the neighbor's yard. So yeah, that was devastating where somebody in broad daylight can chase someone down, gun them down. I mean, with AKs and it was devastating, very devastating.
Yeah, yes,
And that, and when that happens, you never would think that would happen to you. I mean, I would just see people on TV uh, crying and they lost a family member. And I would even cry at some of the people. It was just so heartbreaking. And you never think that would happen to you. But when it hits you, man, it's a different animal. It's a different creature, really. It's devastating.
mm,
Yeah.
but sometimes that pain. After we get to a place where we can heal from it a little bit, it create opportunities for us to do something about it. And I think out of your trauma, something beautiful has come to birth. What is Heals? Tell us about Heals.
Okay. Actually, it was birthed out of our pain and our just wanting to see some changes. We sat back for years just watching people go through the same thing we went through. It seemed like every other day you would see families on TV, their loved ones were killed. And so myself, my daughter Katrina, and my daughter Tanya, actually Katrina was the main one that was pushing this organization. We decided, we just need to stop sitting back and just looking at that things happen like that. We should try to get up and get motivated and do something to create a change. So that's how it was birthed. We wanted to change laws. We wanted to do something, have events, bring gun violence to the forefront, do things that can prevent it, do forums, do change legislation, get in the people's faces that need to be, that can make changes. We can't make them by ourselves. So we need to talk to our congressmen, our governors, anyone that will listen that can make a change. So that was our mission, is to help the victims of loved ones that are survivors of the loved ones that lost their family member to gun violence. It's terrible when you don't have any support or somebody you can turn to that can give you some type of support. Because a lot of times when you lose a loved one, sometimes that might be the main source of your income. It might be a father, a brother, sister, somebody that's providing main support. And when you lose that support, you need somebody to help come in and pick it up, help you, lift you up. Even if you don't just have somebody to talk to, or somebody that say, well, I need help with this, or I need groceries, or I need help with doing something. So that's what that was our mission, just to bring education, to bring support to members of our community.
And I had an opportunity to witness y'all do that and do it very well at a very high level after the inaugural event for Heals. What was the inaugural event for Heals? What was that like, and how was that for you as a part of your healing process?
It was phenomenal because it gave me a chance to share my story with other people that survived gun violence, and it was really phenomenal. We had people, victims, I mean survivors, to come and speak, tell their story, and I think that I had a lot of the speakers to tell me that they were so. That was the first time they ever got in front of an audience and told their story, and what a relief they felt that they could get their story out. That they have someone to listen to that story. I think that's all. A lot of people just want somebody to hear my voice, hear me, hear what I got to say. I'm hurting. I need somebody just to support me and listen to me, and then if it helped me to do something about what's going on. So it was really phenomenal. We had a, I wish we had a little bit more people, but with the people that we had, it was such a powerful experience to be there in the room with all those people. It was a wonderful event.
And there will be more people. I just see God and the universe opening up to allow y'all to do so much more. And it was a full house. Every
Yeah.
seat in the room was full. And it's so many people that have suffered from that in the city of Jacksonville. I remember one day I was sitting at home, and it was a Monday night, and I could just hear that AK fire from across the river.
Mhm.
And in my mind I was thinking, boy, who shoot like that, and what is you shooting at? I done been in combat and ain't heard as much gunfire as I heard that night sitting across from that river. So it's something in Jacksonville. But wherever you find those kind of conditions, you also find some of the strongest people on the face of the earth. But what it takes a different kind of courage to be able to go out now into our communities and to be able to reach out to our young so we can prevent them from being able to engage in this type of behavior. We have normalized this kind of behavior. And the only way that we're going to be able to attend to the needs of our community is by developing the courage that y'all have developed in order to be able to go out and to address it. And what I would also like to say is the individuals who have the opportunity to do something about it, y'all sitting back and y'all not doing nothing. And I ain't talking about the survivors or the victims, because the survivors are victims. I'm talking about you who sit in comfort, in positions of authority in our government, leading civically in our communities, sitting in classrooms, acting like you educating our children, sitting over and presiding over school boards. Y'all have the ability to directly do something. Y'all are connected to budgets. Y'all can make conscious decisions to influence the things and the outcomes that we experience inside of this community, and you are doing nothing. I don't care what you think you're doing. It is not pushing the needle. All it's doing is attending to y'all political basis and making people feel good as y'all sit around acting like y'all doing something. But at the end of the day over day over day over day, people are crying and suffering. At some point, you got to be able to feel the pain of these people and look them in their face and come up with real, tangible solutions in order to be able to correct these conditions. And I do not see that happening from these individuals who are in authority. And I'm going to say, hey, as we send this out into the digital space, hey, like, share, subscribe, help people hear the message. Because when we come together as groups, this is how you hold people accountable. Because when they know that we having these type of discussions, it bring them into spaces and they make them have to have solutions to the problems that y'all face. They don't get to just throw it away. See, because I'm gonna tell you what they do, right? They act like that our children is a problem. They increase the size of the police force, and then they just lock jokers up.
That's
right?
all.
That's it. That's all they doing. They gentrify community. You live in a community right now that's going through gentrification.
Right. Yes, very much so. Yes.
So we see it happening. Then you come and you wrestle our kids away and you throw them off in penitentiaries. And really, for all of you all and all my brothers that done been jammed up, you ain't did time. God just put you up for a time like this. Now you back. So now it's things that we can do in order to be able to in order to correct our community. We here now. We men. We grown and we strong. But we also have to do is we have to put ourselves under the leadership and the guidance of people like you, so that way we can be able to get direction in order to be able to continue to do these things. So what you tell us to do, what you bid us to do, that's what we should be trying to do
Right.
in times like this. And Hills has a lot of things going on, right? We
Yeah.
had one of them pivotal moments. As you was talking about Demetrius, I was thinking about the conversation that we was having last night in the conference call with Yate, and she said Demetrius was a giver, right? And people like that when they taken away, just like you were just saying, attending to the needs of families and communities by whatever means, and it ain't none of your business about how, right? But by whatever means that they're able to attend and address those needs, to take that away from us, it put us in a scarcity mentality and a real struggle. But right now, Hills is preparing to do something about it. What is Hills going to do? As much as you can share about what Hills is planning for the community IDs.
Okay. December the 29th, November November the 29th, I'm talking about December, I'm sorry. November the 29th, we're doing a giveaway. And it's going to be a unique giveaway because we're not only going to give away food, we're going to give away household items, we're going to give away cleaning items, we're going to give away shoes, clothes, food, drinks, anything that's uh, necessary to keep your household going. Laundry detergent, dishwashing liquid, stuff like that, you know. I know food is essential, but we need other stuff besides food, you know.
Mhm.
So we planning on do a big giveaway December. I don't know why December stuck in my mind.
Because
November.
it's gonna happen again in December too.
Yeah. November the 29th from 10 to 2, 2137 North Liberty Street at the Miracle Center.
hmm
So we'll be sending out flyers for the event also.
And thank you to Bishop Eric Van Lockett and the leaders of the Miracle Center for hosting Hills and allowing us to be
Mm-hmm.
able to use that location in order to be able to attend to the needs of the community. And again, this isn't the first, this isn't the annual giveaway. This is the first giveaway. This is
Mm-hmm.
something that will happen routinely in order to be able to make room for individuals in their budget so that they can attend to their families better.
Mm-hmm.
So you think this is now here go the thing. When Hills give out laundry detergent that's costing somewhere between $15 and $23 for a
Mm-hmm.
5 gallon jug. Dishwashing liquid that's going somewhere between 5 and 7. Toothpaste that's going between $4 and $6. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's $30, $40 right there that they just freed up in your budget. Do not use that $40 and go buy another bottle of Hennessy. Right? Take that money and invest in your child. You got Dr. Nashawn Nix with Team Nitro MMA that's putting together a beautiful program for children. We got to then take that money and reallocate it to those things that will help grow our community.
Mm-hmm.
So Hills is working really, really hard in order to do those things that will grow our community. And y'all have something else that's coming up too in concert with the Urban League scheduled for
Yes.
around December the 12th. Can you tell
Yes.
us a little bit
Yes.
about that?
That's December the 12th from 5 o'clock p.m. to 6 p.m. is at the Northside Baptist Church.
Church of Christ, I think.
Yes, Church. Yeah, and it's going to be a forum.
Mhm.
We're going to have a state attorney. We're going to have representatives from the sheriff department and from Gabriel's what's it called? Gabriel Foundation, Gabriel DeVoe Foundation, and it's like you say, it's in Jacksonville Urban League, and we are partnering with them to host this forum. It's going to be where we're going to talk about gun violence, and we're going to explore preventions and strategies across our community and provide knowledge and that's going to save lives and that's going to make our presence known in the communities.
Mhm.
So that's going to be an impactful event also, December the 12th,
Yeah.
2025.
Yeah, that's wonderful. When you take new and emerging organizations and you partner them with our historic organizations, this is how we also begin to cultivate the
Mhm.
solutions that our community need in order to be able to make it better and safer for our children. I want to thank you, Grandma, for coming down and
Mhm.
spending some time with us today, sharing, your history and your journey in the city of Jacksonville, and also helping us to cultivate the solutions that will be required in order to be able to make our community better and safer for our children. Thank you so much.
You are
for what
so
you do.
welcome. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
It's our responsibility to assume the mantle of leadership that exists inside of our community. So as y'all know, in this season, this is my leadership season for the slide. Because in order for us to address the problems that impact our community, we have to develop leaders. But we also have to acknowledge leaders and support those leaders as they're developing into their roles in order to be able to make our community better. We don't profess to have all of the answers. However, if we work together, what will happen is those individuals with that brilliance will emerge. And as they emerge, then what we have to do is we have to acknowledge them and then show deference to their ability to be able to cultivate those solutions and support the solutions in order to be able to achieve success within inside of our communities. This is just the beginning. Look out, keep on the lookout for Hills. They're coming, right? They are doing some powerful, powerful things in the city. Please make others aware so that those things can be successful. and we can all benefit because, as they say, a rising tide lifts all boats. And I was in a conversation with a person the other day, and they had a different take on that. However, we will say that this tide will rise and this tide will lift all boats. Again, thank you for spending a little bit of your time engaging with us, sharing your thoughts and your opinions with us. We're excited about what's happening in the city of Jacksonville and throughout the country in this season, and we look forward to sharing our journey with you. And please share your journey with us. And as we always say, you can run and you can hide, but you can run and you can glide, but you cannot hide when you're on the slide. Thank you. Y'all be easy. We'll see you in a minute.